welcome to IDDTalks. My name is Anastasia Lavrina, and now I am joined by a distinguished guest from Almaty, Kazakhstan, Mr. Nurbolat Nyshanbayev, who is a professor at Turan University. Warm welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining IDDTalks. Well, the recent Turkestan summit was officially about AI and digital development, but many observers saw a broader message. Is the Organization of Turkic States gradually transforming into a strategic economic platform?
Well, definitely the unofficial summit in Turkestan, it was one of the main meetings within the development of these institutions, let's say. But we see positive and a gradual improvement of this organizational structure over the last years. We remember in Gabala, in Azerbaijan summit, but in Turkestan in particular, it gave a new signals to the observers. But one thing is still clear. All the members of the organizations, they share common vision regarding the development, the future of these organizations. But I see for now still there are some challenges, in particular in economic relations, because if we compare with other integrative projects like European Union and the NAFTA in Americas, we see without strong economic foundation, the political desire, development will not be sustainable. So therefore, I think the agenda chosen rightly, AIs and other developments. So the first thing is the foundation should be very strong. It should be based on the common economic zones. The first. The second is common digital platforms, because this is the future, which is what is look like after 5 years. So therefore, the Turkestan summit gave a new push for further development, but they focused primarily removing all the economic barriers, because there is still infrastructure inequalities and some taxes. So truck drivers sometimes they spend longer hours at the borders. So if all those technical barriers should be removed, then the other promised project, I think, will run much more effective and smoother.
Well, the organization is now discussing an OTC plus format that could expand cooperation beyond member states. How far can the OTC expand its network of partnership while preserving its core identity and strategic focus?
Well, this is very common practice in the development of such a kind of organizations. For example, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, they also invited other members as observers or Shanghai Cooperation Plus. BRICS as well, they have the plus. European Union also, they are inviting Armenia and Moldova, Ukraine for plus format. But the point is what kind of opportunities this gives us. I think this is much more about ideology rather than economies. The states, when they're joining as a plus members, it shows that they are with them. They share the commonalities, because we shouldn't limit ourselves with the identities, because if we accept this organization only Turkic states who share this common identity, definitely it will not work for our own interest. So therefore, surely there are space for other participants from Middle East, from Asia, and from Europe. They should be in this aspect. It will expand geographical influence of these organizations. The first, the second, trade turnover and the political influence as well. But for now, Turkic State Organization is not openly acting as an ideological front or something against for someone, against for something. For now, it's emerging as an independent platform. But I think bringing other member states, definitely it will be beneficial for the organization itself, first of all.
Right. But which countries or regions will be the most natural partners for an OTC plus format?
Surely, I would say the Mongolia, the role of the Mongolia, surely underestimated over the years. But there are lots of questions about the Kyrgyzstan, we call them Cyprus, because the recognition issues, many others. I think there should be a clear roles and a clear message for the plus countries. I see Turkmenistan is also trying to joining because they step by step moving toward to the full membership. But for now, Hungary and the Turkmenistan as a observer states. But for plus candidates, Mongolia, I see one of the potential. Then, of course, China and many other. I see also this organization geographically they should expand to the south, Pakistan and Afghanistan. If the recognition issue will be solved, they are great potentially candidates with a high potential to become the members of this organization. So this becoming to this plus organization, it should give to the new member states some obligation as well as some opportunities because it will also it shouldn't come against with the core ideas with the other organizations. For example, regionally, there are ways for ASEAN countries as well. We are very interested for the region, like Malaysia and Singapore and many oil exporting countries because they have already strong bilateral ties with these countries. But when they join into this organization, definitely it will open for them connectivities aspects, in particular by the land roads. Because now those around 180 million population who are members of Turkic state organizations, primarily most of them they are based in the land roads. This organization, in order to run effective, they should bring sea powers as well for the long term.
Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan increasingly appear as the two anchors of Trans-Caspian connectivity. Is this becoming one of the most important strategic partnerships in Eurasia?
Well, the Kazakhstan and the Caspian Middle Corridor projects, but it took some extra developments in the last couple of years since the beginning of the Russian invasion to Ukraine. Middle Corridor took a new impulse to these developments, but we should be realistic. It will not kind of replace the other trade routes for Kazakhstan, which is historically established region, but it has a great potential which is not fully used yet. So therefore, such a kind of connectivity aspects, logistical projects, it should be worked actively within the projects. Also, it should be competitive comparing with the other routes, trade routes. So the Caspian corridors, mostly we talk about as a hub, as a logistical trade routes, but it has also its own routes, economic powers as well. It has also some identity issues and the speed and the competition because now we see the trade routes from Asia to Europe. There are many other alternatives, but how this middle corridor will be competitive, that doesn't depend only on Kazakhstan but other members of these organizations. So recently, the active use of Caspian Seas for the hybrid, for the internet lines, fabric lines under the Caspian line, and for the many other trade routes. In particular, relations between Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan, it's giving again new impulses for the region in general. But the eastern line of this organization shouldn't finish with Kazakhstan, I think. So for eastward, it should working for longer. If we look at from the map, the members of organizations, it finishes with the Turkey on the west. It means it connects with the European Union and the NATO member states. But for the south and for the east, definitely it should be expanded with the bringing new countries. Then many other new projects emerge and they are easily will be implemented without any external pressure.
President Ilham Aliyev highlighted the upcoming Trans-Caspian fiber optic cable connecting the two sides of the Caspian. How transformative could the Trans-Caspian fiber optic project be for the wider region?
Well, actually, this is very potentially project which is and very modern, and because the speed of the internet and the trust on the logistical shipments depends on this fabric internet connection under the Caspian Sea. If we look at the historical examples again, so transatlantic relations between European Union and the USA, it also depends on the this internet line, a fiber optic internet line under the Atlantic Ocean. So therefore, this will be kind of alternative for the not only two nations on the both sides of Hazar Sea, Caspian Seas, but for it will beneficial. I can say even as an imaginary way, it will be the bridge between South Caucasus and Central Asia for the long term, and it will create a foundation, and it will give answer for the new members why to join international Turkic organizations for the long term, because this is the infrastructure, whatever is how we call them. This gives a new power, and this connects even closer these countries than ever before.
At the Turkestan summit, leaders also noted that the Zangezur corridor and the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan railway could eventually integrate into the middle corridor. Could this fundamentally change the economic map of Eurasia?
Well, this is kind of the philosophy of this organization lies on the connectivities, because now the whole global politics is experiencing a tough transition. So it is a period when the rules and the international institutions don't work, and it's very hard to predict how will be the global world order after the 5 or 10 years, what kind of principles will run this order. But all this project, which is implementing within the framework of these institutions, it is establishing a new rules of the post-liberal world order, because already now we see how the regions is fighting for their influence and creating their own rules in the region. So whatever happens, the region will be able to dictate their own rules. So in this framework, I think all these projects within the member states will be joined and created as a broader Eurasian architecture in these periods, because still unclear when the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia and Iran and United States will finish. But the real and the tough question is how the Eurasian countries will benefit, and what will they get after all these transformations happens. Because historically, after every single conflicts, the winners comes and they write the rules and they will identify what's right, what's wrong. This is exactly happening in the 21st centuries, and the countries are working for the future, I think. This is therefore is very important to make sure all these organizations, members of organizations, are working for themselves and for the wider regions. But the interesting thing is the members of the Turkic state organizations are various. None of them none of them have kind of any unresolved disputes or conflicts. Take Armenia, take Turkey, take Azerbaijan, take Kazakhstan, all of them, they don't have any ongoing problems. They have common vision for the futures. So other member states, Uzbekistan also, those states who have no problems at the moment, who has a common visions. So therefore, all these diplomatic aspects gives them a new sense of belongings, own identities, but without losing other partners. We should also talk about the other partners or the member states. For example, Kazakhstan still relying on the multivectoralism, but I can say the whole Turkic state organizations are multivectoral institutions. Azerbaijan, Turkey, they have also many. For example, Turkey is a member of NATO, but it does nothing against becoming the member of Turkic state organizations. So this is what makes unique Turkic state organizations. For example, now we see some aspects, for example, some states picking a side. So therefore, in this regard, the Turkic state organization is becoming something universal and something promised not only for now, but for the future as well.
And could OTC Plus become a mechanism for engaging partners in Europe, the South Caucasus and beyond, without formal enlargement of the organization?
Well, this institution shouldn't limit with the geography, because the identity doesn't depends on the geography. For example, you may say European Union, it's a state which is located in Europe technically, but OTS, Turkic State Organization, it might be states who are located away from the region, but share common vision, share common ideologies. One of the examples is Hungary, but it's not unclear how the new administration of the Hungary will see this is as the foreign policies direction, Turkic State Organization. But OTS shouldn't limit themselves with the geography. Instead, they should bring a new members for the state within the framework of OTS Plus from other continents too, from other regions too, because it will give only extra power, extra senses for the region institutionally for the long term.
Following recent political developments in Armenia, how do you assess the country's place in the evolving regional landscape?
Well, again, everything comes with a comparison, but now the situation in South Caucasus a way stable, a way better comparing back to the 2020 or earlier times. And for example, now today, the Prime Minister of Georgia is for the first time historically paying a state visit to Kyrgyzstan. So it also shows how regionally this organization is working. Also, South Caucasus now made it clear they are writing the rules of the region by themselves without any external influence, and etc., etc. This is, I think, the lesson taken from the histories. So for now, South Caucasus technically or symbolically became a bridge between both sides. So the Zangezur corridor surely is, we have also discussed it with our colleagues and over the last months. So the opening of the Zangezur corridor definitely it gives extra power for the middle corridor projects, and it unites even stronger the OTS projects. So therefore, this project, all the challenges, it should be discussed, should be around within the institutional levels. I think for OCTS Plus, Georgia is also one of the most important candidates for the long term because it makes the region even more tighter in relations, connectivities, and the trades and the trade routes, many others. Because this region, what they need a proper logistics, they need a proper trade routes, not only to the north, but to the south, to the west, to the east too. But one thing is, day by day is becoming clear. For China, sending their goods by the sea is the main primary source, but China is paying way more attention to the western by the land routes. So therefore, they are renovating the new Silk Road initiative, One Belt, One Road initiatives, and many other initiatives. But all these initiatives, all the projects, it should be interlinked with the other projects. In that time, it gives its results in a needed level, I think.
Nurbolat, thank you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much